Well, welcome back to Sasquatch and Sourdough. I am your host, Christina, and it is false fall in Maryland, guys. I am absolutely annoyed. I've already bought pumpkins and mums and done pretty much all the fall things, just like the Blink-182 song. And yeah, it's now like 85 degrees. So get it together, Maryland. Your weather is terrible. Anyway. Welcome to the show, guys. I am really excited because this is actually going to be the first airing on Wednesday, 10 a.m. This show is going to be airing on Midnight Realm Radio on 365 Radio. So that's really cool. If you guys are listening to the show for the first time, welcome. This is an incredibly interesting, weird show that I have a hard time really explaining to people. But just tag along and you'll figure it out eventually. But welcome in, guys. I have a great show actually put together for you guys today. I've been looking at the analytics of like both the YouTube channel, and then I usually push the show out in Buzzsprout, and apparently there's a lot of you out there listening from Colorado. So I wanted to put together a little curated episode that's going to be just about Colorado. So buckle in. There's going to be some weird encounters here. I'm really excited to just dive into the strange. It's weird. Colorado is a really weird place, as you know. So before I do that, though, I wanted to just get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way. You guys probably already know where to find us on Instagram. If you're not already over there, definitely on the YouTube channel. But remember that we do have an encounter map. On the website, sasquatchandsourdough.com, you can put in any type of encounter. It can be Dogman, UFOs, paranormal, even like a faith encounter. If you have, one of those, maybe something crazy happened at church, anything like that, haunted houses, Bigfoot, obviously, any kind of weird encounter. I'm just trying to get that thing off the ground, but it's challenging when I don't hear from people and I have to kind of start digging. So I'm hoping that by putting together these curated episodes, I can kind of just dig in, find some cool encounters, and then add them to the map. But check that out. You can also email me your encounters, sasquatchandsourdough@gmail.com. I also have a phone number. You can text or call if you want to just have something played on the air or you just want to keep it private. That phone number is 202-556-3802. And that comes directly to my phone. Lastly, if you want to send some regular snail mail, we have a P.O. box. So that is P.O. box number 2, Hides, Maryland, 21082. I really just enjoy hearing from you guys. I know it's busy out there in life, but it's really cool to hear the feedback. I just assume no news is good news. So if you guys are still liking it, you're still here, I'm glad to have you. Let's dive into whatever's going on in Colorado. So surprisingly, a lot of my listeners are from Colorado, and I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. You can send me a text message or you can send me a voicemail and tell me exactly how it's supposed to be pronounced, but I'm from Baltimore, so this is what you get. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of like dive into some of the high strangeness. I am not, however, going to talk about the insane weirdness that's going on at the Denver International Airport. I know there's like a whole bunch of like with Lucifer and potential tunnels, lizard people. I'm going to send you guys over directly to Dark Waters. Just check him out on YouTube. He goes into all of those deep dives of that type of high strangeness and kind of more conspiracy. He does great content, but it's just not something that I really dive into. I know there's a lot of theories about the lizard people in the Denver International Airport. Like that's probably the weirdest, but I'm just not going to go there. One of the things I found really cool is like there's just, I don't know, there's like a really cool air of weird fun happening in parts of Colorado. I found this this is an interesting article about, it's like just kind of strange Colorado places and oddities. But so this is cute. It's called, this website is thirstcolorado.com is my source, and it says the mystical tourist town of Manitou Springs hosts a morbid competition inspired by a casket that washed down a mountainside. Born in 1863 on the East Coast, Emma Crawford moved to Manitou Springs at the age of 12 with her mother, and with the hope that the fresh mountain air and mineral springs would relieve her tuberculosis, much like Doc Holliday. Death knocked on Crawford's door in 1891. Interred on Manitou's Red Mountain, her burial site succumbed to weathering and her coffin fell into a landslide in 1929. This incident eventually evolved into a Halloween event, the Emma Crawford Coffin Races and Festival. But interestingly enough, that it's not the only one that you guys have. So this is crazy strange. In 1989, a Norwegian man brought the corpse of his deceased grandfather, Brado Morstol, to the U.S., preserved on dry ice and later in liquid nitrogen. Oh my gosh, that's disgusting. Liquid nitrogen. I don't, for some reason, that reminds me of like a Simpsons episode when Mr. Burns wanted to like freeze himself. Anyway, in 1993, almost 30 years later, Morstall's body was placed inside a shed in the town of Nederland, where Morstall's frozen corpse remains to this day. For years, Nederland had its annual coffin race during the Frozen Dead Guy Days celebration each March. The celebration has since been moved to Estes Park. So, wow. Already, right off the bat. That was like literally the first thing I found when I was like high strangeness in Colorado. Coffin races. I mean, that does sound like a lot of like weird fun. I don't know. I just love it. Okay, this is all right. Now I'm going down this rabbit trail, but seriously, I just envision like quaint mountain town, like everyone wearing fun sweaters and having like obviously like lattes. And let's here we are. We're here for the coffin race and festival. And we're just gonna dress up coffins and race them down a hillside. Like that's probably the coolest Halloween event I've heard in a long time. So bravo to you. If you've ever been to that festival, please, please, please email me and let me know about it because I need context. So in previous episodes, you guys have heard me talk all the time about this awesome book for my video peeps. This is Monsters Among Us by Linda Godfrey. I really enjoy her. I think the first time that I ever found her content was probably Blurry Creatures. They're kind of the sounding board for all high strangeness and weird stuff. If you guys don't know Blurry Creatures by now, you definitely need to check that podcast out. But so the only Colorado experience that she has in the book is really wild. I'm going to read it for you guys now. Her book is called They Walk Among Us. Or no, I'm sorry. This is Monsters Among Us. And the chapter is They Walk Among Us. And this encounter is called The Checkered Shirt. I came across one other incident relevant to this chapter that I'd like to mention because it also fits the description of another phenomenon we'll examine later. Christopher O'Brien mentioned this case briefly in the March-April 2011 issue of Fate, F-A-T-E magazine. It involved a family of four's 1983 encounter on a night drive through the Navajo Reservation in Colorado. The drive along Route 163 had gone smoothly until suddenly they each noticed an uneasy feeling that the car was being followed. Very shortly after that, a thing sprang at their car from the side of the road. O'Brien quoted a family member, quote, "It had on a white and blue checkered shirt and long pants. Its arms were raised over its head, almost touching the top of the cab. It looked like a hairy man or a hairy animal in man's clothing. But it didn't look like an ape or anything like that. Its eyes were yellow and its mouth was open," unquote. The checkered shirt is of almost as much interest as is the creature itself. The late investigator and author John Keel noted that plaid or checkered shirts are very often connected with sightings of anomalous creatures. What then was this anomalous creature? Yellow eye shine is normal for canids, but nothing else seemed normal about this being. I don't think its appearance can necessarily be blamed on reservation. I never say this word SWs either, since there isn't much to distinguish it from the other man/dog creatures discussed above. And C, this is her chapter, Hunting the American Werewolf, for yet another example of a plaid shirted. Oh no, I'm sorry. she references another book. And see Hunting the American Werewolf for yet another example of a plaid-shirted, wolf-headed road jumper near Blue Sea Lake, Quebec in the early 1990s. I must note that none of these human-canid combination beasts seem to be accompanied by lights or other strange phenomenon, except for the glowing red light of the hoodie wolf, which, as noted, could have been a cigarette. There wasn't any weird extras in this next, truly epic example either, but nothing extra was needed to make this one of the strangest cases ever reported to me. Okay, so guys, definitely check this out. So I'm sorry. Real Wolfman and American Monsters is one of her other books, I think. I don't know if Hunting the American Werewolf is her. She does give a reference to it. Let me look quickly in the back here. 15. This book is just chock full of really, really cool encounters. That's one of the things I love doing, is just kind of collecting books and reference materials that are just good sources of encounters. Okay, so Godfrey Hunting the Okay, yes, it is her own book, Hunting the American Werewolf. Cool. So yeah, oh my gosh, checkered shirt. That's crazy. It just reminds me, I mean, number one, it reminds me of Beetlejuice, but it also just, it's like that classic Wolfman. You know, when you see like the Wolfman, turning into, the man turning into Wolfman, he's got a checkered, I don't know. I don't know why that's a big, I don't know why buffalo plaid, like the Wolfman really likes that, but apparently that's his style. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to go back and hop back over to a Reddit thread. This is really interesting. It's another weird figure that was seen while driving. Okay, and so this is Reddit. This thread is just called High Strangeness. Dark figure showed up while driving in Colorado. I just wanted to get your thoughts on something that happened today. And this is Pedro _HTX. This is actually from a year ago today. While I was driving on a highway, I felt like I almost hit something. For 1 second, the window on my left got dark. Then I drove pretty close, inches to something big. During that moment, I couldn't see anything else on my left. This thing covered the whole window. At first, I thought it was nothing, but my wife got scared, quickly looked back and asked, "What did you hit? Did you hit something?" There was no noise. Just the impression like something got extremely close to the car. I looked back through my mirror and there was absolutely nothing on the road, no animals. The car behind me didn't reduce their speed. Both me and my wife were just trying to understand what happened because because she also saw that thing with no specific shape that suddenly disappeared. She said it was something gray. She even joked saying, "Are we in the same dimension now? Did we cross some kind of portal? Do you think it was a SK or an SW?" But despite the jokes, what caught my attention was that this happened as we drove by the Red Rocks area, where some workers saw a UAP recently. We are 100% sure it was not an animal or person. It was also not the shadow of a bridge or an airplane. It covered only one window, and obviously it was not another vehicle. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Okay, that's crazy. Okay, so another resource that I go to very, very often is the website North American Dogman Project. It is just awesome. These guys they have great analytics. They just kind of have their own encounter map, and I just find them to be such a great resource. This is from their website, and it's Tammy from Pueblo, Colorado, reports on the NADP website. It says, let's see. She says she's had Dogman plus other cryptids on my place for years, and this is her Dogman sighting details. Quote, "Hi, folks. I do not want my name out on the internet," which is weird because it says Tammy, but whatever. Because it never goes away. Anyway, a few years ago, I decided to contact the BFRO about having Yetis, Bigfoot, on my place. I call them Yeti because they have 3 toes instead of 5. I always knew we had more than one cryptid on the place. I live on a river and have about 18 acres of land. The Dogman has been sighted off Lime Road, which also borders my river. I am from Pueblo, Colorado, and I live on the St. Charles River, which dumps into the Arkansas River. My researchers had me put out cams to see if I could catch any Bigfoot activity. I did, and over the years have caught other strange creatures on the cam. I call them hybrids. My encounters started when I was 8 years old in 1969 when a huge Bigfoot stood up in front of my dad's tractor. And it has continued to this day with other creatures as well. I have a pic of the dogman I caught in the river. It takes up a span of 4 feet wide. Oh my gosh. He has huge shoulders and is staring directly at the camera across from it. Yes, it is black, has ears that tip in towards themselves and scars on its face. And appears he is not too happy about having his picture taken. I felt very vindicated when I got that pic, and I blew it up in Word so I could get a good look at the creature. Okay, so this her time was 1/28/2018. Yeah, so the cool thing is another good resource if you're into, kind of, I know a lot of people not so much hunting, but if you have some sort of issue on your property, you can check out my friend Drew at Cryptid Warfare podcast. So just check him out. He has a lot of resources about stuff like this. This is not the first encounter that I've heard where there's multiple weird sightings and weird happenings on a piece of large land. Um, there's been a couple episodes that we've covered where I've talked to and interviewed some people that just, it's terrifying because, not only is it your property, but a lot of these remote areas, you're kind of just left, out there scared sometimes. And these things, I mean, outside of, Bigfoot doing a lot of the wood knocks, and I've heard of Bigfoot, knocking on people's cabins and stuff like that. But this is when you're like really isolated. I think people can really have just a hard time. And it also really kind of stinks when people don't believe you. So I love websites like this where you can just, send in your encounters and trust that you'll be believed. Okay, so moving away from Dogman for right now, I do have a really cool, still in Pueblo County, a Bigfoot um, report. So there's actually a couple. This is really interesting. I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with the BFRO, the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization. It's another great resource. It's kind of these websites were sort of a catalyst for me to start my website because I loved the idea of there being encounter maps for different things. But then I also wanted to put together a map that would have a whole bunch of different encounters from different cryptids, UFOs, all of that sort of paranormal, whatever. Then you can kind of get like a bird's eye view of maybe what's going on, bigger picture. Maybe there's something more spiritual happening in these areas if there's a lot of like a hotbed of activity in concentrated areas. So that's kind of my goal. It's definitely slow going, but nonetheless. Okay. So back to Bigfoot here. It's the winter of 1982 and it's Pueblo County. And this is going to be approximately 100 miles south of Colorado Springs off the east shoulder of I-25 in Pueblo County. Observed on approximately December. It's not really approximate, but okay. Approximately December of 1982, two friends and myself were returning to Colorado from Texas by car. Whoa. At just before midnight on a dark stretch of Interstate 25, heading north towards Denver, just 100 some miles before Colorado Springs, something strange caught my eye. I was seated in the passenger side of the car. A friend, Trent, was driving in the back seat. Asleep and extremely ill was another friend. To the right, traveling at 60 miles per hour, the headlights caught what appeared to be a 3 to 4 foot white haired ape like creature with a dark face. It was standing upright. My eyes caught it some 100 feet ahead in the lights, and I followed it with my eyes. It was merely standing there at the side of the road. Although I admit a childhood interest in Bigfoot lore, I almost instantly dismissed it as such a creature. Surely my eyes were playing tricks on me. I said nothing to my friend who was driving. My first instinct was to ask my friend to turn around and go back to investigate. Instead, I said nothing. 5 minutes later, my friend pulled off to the side of the road as he said he had to relieve himself. We met at the back of the car to, take care of business, where he expressed he was getting tired. I agreed, telling him I was tired too and starting to see things. He then told me that he was also seeing things, saying, yeah, I just thought I saw a polar bear back there. Oh my gosh. A chill went up my spine, and I asked him if it was a white and furry. He said yes. I told him that I thought I saw a small white ape with a dark face. Without missing a beat, he told me to get in the car. Let's get out of here. We wanted to go back to investigate, but our sick friend in the back seat needed to get home due to his illness. He was passed out throughout the entire episode, and we didn't want to pester him with our shared illusion. We're obviously unsure of what we saw. However, we agreed that it was not a coyote, and we both only saw two legs. Oh, that's interesting. This account was dismissed by us. Oh, until 5 years later, when Unsolved Mysteries did a feature on some unusual sightings of a large Bigfoot like creature. Okay, so when they do the reporting, guys, on BFRO, they'll have the account and then they'll have an actual investigator reach out to the people that put the account in the database or whatever. So they have they're really, really good about follow up. That's what I really enjoy about them. So this actually was on Unsolved Mysteries. And here's the report. Along the Colorado Front Range, there have been reports of a white-haired ape-like creature roaming around the homes in the foothills just north of Colorado Springs. Our sighting was 100-some miles south. I think it's important to mention for credibility that I have held a strong fascination in Bigfoot lore since childhood. I am not totally convinced that what I saw was what I know as a Bigfoot. The account is true, however, I believe the circumstances of the event and the accounts in the region are interesting and worth reporting here. I have never told of this event to more than a half dozen people. I think it's important to mention for credibility. Okay, he already said that. So other witnesses, 3 car passengers, one asleep, one driving. Okay, gotcha. Environment. The environment of the exact place along I-25 would be difficult to access due to the time of day, 11 p.m. to midnight. We could speculate that this stretch of highway would be some 6 miles east of the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains, hilly fields and pastures east of the highway, elevation approximately 5,000 feet. Okay, so this guy was that. So it wasn't really a report from an investigator. He was just saying that he kind of, dismissed what they saw, but then they saw it on Unsolved Mysteries. That's crazy. And this was so this is actually kind of, I don't know. For me, this is cool because I was born in 1982. And I also grew up watching Unsolved Mysteries. That's kind of how my lore began, my journey. But can you just imagine you're in a time where no one talks about this stuff. I'm here on Midnight Realm Radio and I'm talking about weird stuff with you guys. It's all over the internet. There's so many podcasts. It's ridiculous. We're all talking about this. But in 1982 and the following years, you didn't really especially in the 90s, you were a weirdo if you talked about this stuff. So it's kind of interesting now that I don't know, we have all this interest, but also this guy got validation years later, which I think is kind of cool because I don't know, that's just kind of what made Unsolved Mysteries really cool. You get that validation. So that's really awesome for him. Good job, guy. Okay, so moving on, I know you guys are probably all right, where are the UFOs? There apparently are an incredible amount of UFO encounters on the so if you guys, another website that I often pull from is the National UFO Reporting Center. So it's nuforc.org. I don't tend to really go to MUFON. That's not really my first choice. I like this website a little bit better. So this is cool. This one's actually from 1931. It occurred in 1931, and this person reported it in 2004. So that's the crazy thing is oh my gosh, think of how many people have seen something and never said anything. That's wild. Okay, so this is 6 to 8 miles southwest of Colorado. And the encounter reads, in the winter of 1931, I saw a flying machine, UFO, as I was riding on a horse in the draw of a pasture. I was 17 and I was riding a horse checking on cattle after a snowstorm, and I was about 8 miles south of Holyoke, Colorado. I'm sorry, I can't read. I went over a small hill and down to a draw that was about 25 to 30 feet deep. I was heading south and I got to the middle of the draw. I looked up to the west and I saw an elongated oval shaped flying machine in the air. It was an aluminum color and a door that was transparent like a glass, like a glass opened. It looked like a doorway, and a man appeared that looked human but was not as tall as a normal human. He looked down at me and he had a uniform on that was darker than he was. I looked back down because I was on a horse that stumbled quite a bit. When I looked up again, as soon as possible, there was nothing there, so they must have left. Oh my gosh. Okay, and so they also they will do a follow-up like kind of interview, or they'll reach out to the witness and do a follow-up note. And so their note from the website is time and date are approximate, although the witness is almost certain the incident occurred in 1931. We spoke with the witness at length, and he seemed to us to be exceptionally reliable and credible. PD. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So this guy didn't report it until 2004. It happened in 1931. That's amazing. Wow, what a cool encounter. Okay, so I have one that I picked out from 1998. And this, my note here is this encounter actually reads like an episode of the X-Files. Okay, let's get this one going. All right, so this occurred in 1998, reported 2003. Duration 15 minutes and 2 observers. This is in Pueblo, West, Colorado. The shape is a triangle. Characteristics: lights on object, emitted beams. And the encounter reads, it was about 11:30 at night when my brother came into my room and told me to look out my window. He seemed very excited, but also a little scared. I looked out the window and I saw a bright blinking light with 2 other lights below in the shape of a triangle off in the distance. The 2 lights below were not blinking, only the top one. I didn't think anything of it at first until I saw it move. As I was watching, the light would blink, then almost instantly blink again in another spot in the sky. Its movements were sort of erratic, almost in the same sort of way an eyeball would move while looking at different things throughout a room. We live near a military base, and I just figured it was something that they were testing, and I just forgot about it until I read a report on this site. That is what I remember. But just for my clarity, my brother would like to submit the way he remembers it too. So his brother says, I was lying awake in my bed looking out of my window because I couldn't sleep when I saw what at first looked like an airplane with its landing lights on. It didn't seem strange to me at all until I noticed that there was no sound coming from this plane. By the time my curiosity piqued and I opened my window in the expectation that I would hear jet engines roaring. However, when I did, all I heard were the sounds of a breeze blowing through the trees in our backyard. Suddenly, the light was gone, and when it next appeared, it was about 300 feet from my backyard and about 100 feet above the ground. It came up to my house and passed over. It couldn't have been any more than 60 or 70 feet over the rooftop. As I saw it pass by, it flashed a beam onto the house and the surrounding area. I followed it as best I could. I went to my brother's room to see. His room's directly across from mine. I stood at his window waiting to see what would happen, but it just sat there, no sound, no movement. So I thought quickly and woke my brother as to make sure I had a witness that I wasn't dreaming or crazy. And that's where my brother's story picks up. Wow, that's crazy. And so they said the date is approximate. So they did reach out, but there's no other notes. I don't know. That just reminded me of, if you guys remember, like I'm actually rewatching the X-Files because I haven't watched them enough apparently. But there's just the whole encounter when Fox Mulder's sister gets taken. It just kind of reminded me of that. So I thought that was kind of cool. So definitely check out these websites, guys. There are a ton. Like I said, there's 35 pages of, and I'm not talking just like, 10 per page. It's insane. There's a lot. There's got to be thousands of encounters in Colorado. So definitely check that out. So yeah, I think that's going to do it. I just wanted to give you guys a little, Colorado episode. I thank you so much for listening. It's really funny to me that, I'm here in Maryland and you guys in Colorado are listening to my weird little show. So it's humbling and it's an honor to pull this together for you guys tonight. Thanks again. If you're listening on Midnight Realm, thank you for tuning in. This is the first episode really on that radio station. It's kind of neat. Like I never thought that, this opportunity would kind of come together like this, but it's really cool and I'm enjoying it so far. So if there is another place that you want me to do a deep dive into, like, your town, wherever you live out there, please reach out to me, because otherwise I'm just going to pull something out of my hat to come up with for next week. But I'm really excited to do this. It's a lot of fun. Remember, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on the website, sasquatchandsourdough.com. You can email me, sasquatchandsourdough@gmail.com. Just reach out so I can hear your crazy encounters out there. So until next time, guys, remember, the truth is out there. God is with you, and everyone always ends up in the kitchen. You have been listening to Sasquatch and Sourdough. I'm Christina, and thank you so much for tuning in. Sasquatch and Sourdough is so much more than just a podcast. We're a community of kindred spirits, united by our curiosity and fascination with the extraordinary. And we want to bring you into the conversation. So whether you've had a brush with the unexplainable, seen something that you can't quite wrap your head around, this is your space. We invite you to join us as we break bread and break down the barriers between the known and the unknown. If you want to share your story, you can email us at sasquatchandsourdough@gmail.com or send us a DM on Instagram. Until next time, remember, the truth is out there, God is with you, and everyone always ends up in the kitchen.